Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to another session of the Ethics in the Information System series. And let me share you the screen so that we have got an idea what we will be discussing today. So there is a screen, Ethics in the Information System. These are the topics listed that will be the point of discussion today. And let me read out everyone so that we'll be having a specific discussion regarding every topic that's listed here. What is ethics? The importance of integrity, difference between morals, ethics, laws, and ethics in the business world, so on and so forth. These are some of the topics that we'll be discussing today. So let's start. So let's start with the ethics, the definition of the ethics. Ethics is a set of beliefs about rights and wrong behavior within a society. Ethical behavior conforms to generally accepted norms, many of which are almost universal. However, although nearly everyone would agree that certain behaviors, such as lying and cheating, are unethical, opinions about what constitute ethical behavior can vary. That's, for example, attitudes towards software piracy, like in Europe and in US and Canada as well, and Australia as well. There are there are rules and regulations that don't go for the piracy, even if the software is being selling on the high end. For example, if something costs you around $200 or even $1,000, uh, they don't go for the pirated software. Whereas in Indo-Pak subcontinent and the other countries in this region, it's quite common to have a pirated software or copied software. So usually one of them usually buys the software, and the person creates a duplicate set of CDs or whatever distributable content that he or she can manage, and they keep on selling like 50 rupees DVD, so and so forth. Same same is the case applicable with the movies, and same is the case applicable with the music as well. So as far as different attitudes towards different content, it varies. And Indo-Pak subcontinent, it's quite open to sell these pirated softwares in different markets, and we usually don't bother what we are purchasing. Either it is copyrighted software or it is pirated one. We don't bother to look into that matter. People also develop habits that make it easier for them to choose between what society considers good or bad. There are basically two different things, and that is a virtue and a vice. A virtue is a habit that inclines people to do what is acceptable, and vice is a habit of unacceptable behavior. Like we are having something like fairness, generosity, and loyalty are examples of the virtue. Whereas if you consider vanity, greed, envy, and anger, also these are all supposed to be, or they're considered to be vices. People's virtues and vices help to define their personal value system, the complex scheme of moral values by which they live. The moral principles are the statements of what you believe to be the rules of right code of conduct. As a child, we have been taught not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal anything from anyone. But when we grew up as an adult facing more complex decisions, we often reflect on our own principles when we consider what to do in different situations. Like something, is it okay to lie to protect someone's life, or is it not? So these are some of the complex decisions that we need to consider while we are in more senior ages. A person who acts with integrity acts in accordance with a personal code of principles. One approach to acting with integrity, that's one of the cornerstones of ethical behavior, is to extend to all people the same respect and consideration that you expect to receive from others. Unfortunately, consistency can be difficult to achieve, particularly when you are in a situation that conflicts with your own moral standards. Another form of inconsistency emerges if you apply moral standards differently according to the situation or people involved. If you're consistent and act with integrity, you apply the same moral standards in all situations to everyone. And usually, it's difficult to manage and maintain. So next. we should discuss something regarding the differences or the basic logic behind the differences between moral ethics and the laws. While we are talking about morals are one's personal belief about right and wrong. Or whereas if we talk about the term ethics, the ethics describe the standards or codes of behavior expected of an individual by a group. That may be a nation, that may be an organization, that may be a profession, or to which an individual belongs to. The last one is basically the law. Law by itself is considered by establishing different rules and regulations in a single form. And law is a system of rules that tells us what we can do and what we cannot. Laws are enforced by a set of institutions, like in different countries around the globe. There are different setups like police and lawmaking bodies like assemblies, and there are different courts which hear different uh, cases between different individuals who have confronted each other regarding a specific content at hand. That could be a dispute over land or something like that. Legal acts are basically acts that conform to the law. Moral acts conform to what an individual believes to be right thing to do. Also, we have an idea now what these three different words or three different things mean in their specific domains. So now let's talk about ethics in the business world. Ethics in business lies among the top agenda items of many of the corporate level organizations around the globe. In fact, every organization, because the risk that's associated with the inappropriate behavior has always been a part of the risk that needs to be mitigated. Otherwise, because of this behavior or the non-seriousness among the employees or the unethical behavior among the employees have caused the organizations lose their potential, either the clientage or their specific position in the globe. Or there are examples around among the corporate sector that different organizations shut down because of the unethical behavior and overstatement. In some time, and in different cases, there are overstatement regarding the specific assets of the organization, and at times there are underestimated uh, assets or under declared assets by different organizations that has created chaos among the different persons who have invested in the company, and because of which the businesses have collapsed around the globe. These are some of the reasons that's these are some of the reasons that ethics lies in the top of the agenda and of different organizations around the globe. Several trends have increased the likelihood of unethical behavior. Like for many organizations, greater globalization or reach among the different people around the globe. That's called greater globalization has created much more complex work environment that spans diverse cultures and societies, making it more difficult to apply principles and code of ethics consistently. Um, in addition to that, in today's difficult and uncertain economic climate, organizations are extremely challenged to maintain revenue and profits. Like some organizations are sorely tempted to resort to unethical behavior to maintain clientage and profits as well. So it's difficult. It is not unusual for powerful, highly successful individuals to fail to act in morally appropriate ways. Such people are aggressive and striving for what they want and are used to having privileged access to the information, different people in the organization, and other resources of the organization. Furthermore, their success often inflates their belief that they have the ability and the right to manipulate the outcome of any situation. So let's conclude this formal discussion regarding oneself's integrity and moral ethics and laws and ethics in the business world. We now move towards the next topic, and that's the corporate social responsibility. The corporate social responsibility, also classified as CSR, is the concept that an organization should act ethically by taking responsibility for the impact of its actions on the environment, the community, and the welfare of its employees. That's all this that simply means that all these stakeholders within the company, that also includes the customers as well. Setting the corporate social responsibility goals ensures an organization to achieve higher moral and ethical standards. Each organization must decide if the corporate social responsibility is its priority or not. And if it is a priority, then what are its specific corporate social responsibility goals are? The pursuit of some corporate social responsibility goals can lead to increased profit, making it easy for the senior company management and stakeholders to support the organization's goals in this arena. Like there are different food chains around the globe who have expanded their menus by listing low cholesterol light to different customers in different areas. And because of that, because of this CSR, the CSR was provide healthy food, and for that they have expanded their menu. They have introduced low cholesterol diet, and definitely there are different people who have attracted to this concept of low cholesterol diet, and ultimately the CSR goal of the company has achieved the company uh, to make more profit. However, if striving to meet a specific CSR goal leads to decrease in profits, senior management may be challenged to modify or drop the CSR goal entirely. For example, there are different companies around the globe who are interested in manufacturing different cars that are not based on carbon chain, so that they have got cleaner environment and low carbon dioxide emissions. So different companies around the globe have adopted this electric car concept, but unfortunately people around the globe, they don't have interest in electric cars initially because they were slow. uh, Cars by themselves are slow. I've got a call. Also, let's continue from where we have left. Yes, auto manufacturers. So there are different organizations around the globe who are manufacturing different cars, and they have put it as a goal, their corporate social responsibility goal, to have cars that are low in carbon emissions, so to decrease the carbon dioxide emission. And they have adopted for the clean energy, and they have adopted for the electric cars, electronic and electric cars. But people are not interested in buying those cars because initially when they were manufactured, they were not having certain performance match with those fuel based cars, because they were slow, they were not as per these standards. They cannot compete with the carbon emission based internal combustion engine based cars. So they are not being accepted by the different people who want to buy or purchase different cars. So in that case, the manufacturers have to rethink their strategy. Either they can change their corporate social responsibility goal, or they could provide further subsidies. Those manufacturers who adopted this strategy, they didn't change their CSR, their corporate social responsibility goal. They have provided the alternative, and they go for the cash discounts, sales bonuses, and they subsidize different things. So that helped them out to sell out those cars that they were manufacturing at that time. So let's close the discussion and move towards the next topic. Let's discuss why it is important to foster to CSR and uh, good practices of ethics in business. So organizations have at least five good reasons for pursuing corporate social responsibility goals and for promoting a work environment in which employees and all the other stakeholders are encouraged to act ethically when making business decisions. Uh, these five uh, these five rules, you can say that they are basically listed at number one as gaining the goodwill of the community. Most probably it focuses on the customers. So because when the company is having a goodwill among its customers or the clients, they are loyal to the company, they definitely have good sales. Point number two is creating an organization that operates consistently. And it's very important not to earn huge revenues for the very first year, and then it keeps on declining from the next year and onwards. So to make consistency, the organization needs to stick to certain CSR, corporate social responsibility roles and objectives, and when following those, the company needs to get consistent with with its operations. Number three is fostering good business practices. Although it's very important to focus on good business practices, but fostering to different business practices at times, you have to take different decisions at different times. Like at time it's good to do something, and at the other time it's not to do. It's not good to do the same thing. For example, before pandemic, it wasn't an issue to have a new CEO or new set of employees, while the old ones left the organization by themselves, or the company have asked them to leave. But in the current pandemic situation, it's not good to kick out employees because they don't have good opportunities in the market right now. The fourth one is protecting the organization and its employees from legal action. So if you stick to certain rules and regulations within the company, the other stakeholders, they don't have to go to the court of law for challenging or for acquiring their specific rights, and for ask the law enforcement agencies for the legal action. Uh, Fifth one is avoiding unfavorable publicity. So let's discuss each of them in a brief, so that we can have a good idea of what they are. Number one is gaining the goodwill of the community. So although organizations exist primarily to earn profits or to provide service to the customers, they also have some fundamental responsibilities to the society. And all successful organizations, we have got example from different domains of the business, like technology firms, recognize that they must attract and maintain loyal customers. Or like if there is a technology firm that has created certain specific product that's acceptable globally, like we are having like Microsoft Office. So if the company put it as a goal to facilitate more customers by providing more features to the product, then obviously more and more customers will be attracted towards the specific product that they've created. And if they make it a CSR, corporate social responsibility goal, to provide more facilities, more features in the product, so that many more of the customers may be facilitated. So that's how they can attract different loyal customers. The goodwill that CSR activities generate can make it easier for corporations to conduct their business. For example, if a company is well known for treating its employees with good gestures and good benefits and fringe benefits, it would be very easy for the company to find best candidates for the jobs within the company. And uh, and the vice versa is not true. Like if some company is not having a goodwill with the employees, and they are not providing appropriate benefits to the employees, then definitely, if the company needs certain people to fill out certain positions, the company will not be having good applicants for the job, and ultimately the work environment and the total potential of the firm, or regarding the implementation and deployment of certain strategies, would fail, and the company would lose, not only in the HR, but in its potential for delivering the output to the customers as well. Rule number three is creating an organization that operates consistently. Organizations develop and abide by values to create an organizational culture and to define a consistent approach for dealing with the needs of their stakeholders, which includes shareholders, employees, customers, suppliers, and the other communities which, which are in contact with with the organization or the business, either through internal means or through external means. Such consistency ensures that employees knows what is expected of them and can employ the organization's values to keep them in their decision making. Consistency also means that shareholders, customers, suppliers, and everyone who is basically in connection with the company knows what they can expect of the organization, that it will behave in future much as it has in the past. It is especially important for multinational or global organizations to present a consistent face to their stakeholders, customers, and suppliers, no matter where those stakeholders live or operate their business. Uh, Although each company's value system is different, many share some of the basic principles, like to strive to be the best at what matters most of the organizations. Uh, Treat colleagues, customers, and consumers, and whatever the stakeholders are, with respect and integrity. Operate according to standards of ethical conduct, and operate with honesty and integrity. Uh, they should value the diversity among those who are among the stakeholders, and to make decisions based on facts and principles. So now let's move towards the next one, that's fostering to the good business practices. Like profits could be improved and businesses could be conducted in a good environment by sticking to the uh, basic good ethical principles. Or companies that produce safe and effective products avoid costly recalls and lawsuits. Companies that provide excellent services retain their customers instead of losing them to the competitors. Or companies that develop and maintain a strong employee relations enjoy lower turnover rates and better employee morale. Suppliers and other business partners often place a priority on working with companies that operate in a fair and ethical manner. All these factors tend to increase revenue and profit while decreasing the overall costs. Whereas, on the other hand, um, those companies who don't stick to the good ethical practice can lead to bad business results. Bad ethics can have a negative impact on employees, many of whom may develop negative attitudes if they perceive a difference between their own values and those stated or implied by an organization's actions. In such an environment, employees may suppress their tendency to act in a manner that seems ethical to them and instead act in a manner that will protect them against anticipated punishment. When such a discrepancy between employee and organizational ethic occurs, it destroys employees' commitment to organizational goals and even to the organization itself. Because of this, the employers goes towards the low moral phase, fosters poor performance, erodes employee involvement in organization improvement initiatives, and builds indifferences to the organizational needs. Now let's move towards the next principle, that is protecting the organization and its stakeholders from legal action against any of them. It's one of the very important points in the current discussion because if the company sets its CSR, corporate social responsibility goals, in such a manner that it can it can formalize its operations in such a manner that every of its department works according to its different prescribed CSRs, then it would be very easy for the company to perform in such a manner that it cannot be sued by any of the stakeholders. Like if we are talking about, let's suppose, a pharmaceutical company, and the company has deployed different people who are not socially responsible, or those who are not appropriate for the specific functions. For example, if there is a manufacturing facility for the pharmaceutical company, and that specific manufacturing facility doesn't have a specific chemist out there, and the company's CSR doesn't match the industry standards, then it would be very difficult for the people who are working over there to match the different compositions which are compulsorily being required to formalize or have a final specific product regarding a medicine, like FG, finished goods. So if there is batch malfunction, there are certain chemicals which are mixed in an unnatural way or with a different composition than the drug that's supposed to be created may have got a different composition, different chemical composition, and because of which, if that specific drug is being utilized by those who are having all these drugs for a long time, they may have a negative impact. Like there's a previous example in the newspaper I've read out in the previous times that there's a company, pharmaceutical company, and due to absence of the supervisor, those persons who are working in the manufacturing facility, they have mixed a different composition, and because they don't know what are the different chemicals that are compulsorily being required for manufacturing a specific composition or percentage of the different chemicals. So because of that, the drug that's being supposed to be created with a specific composition is not being created, and it was supplied to the market, and those persons who are the different patients like heart patients, etc., they have utilized that drug and they have got negative impact on their health. And I've heard that some of them passed away, they died because of using that drug, and their relatives sued the company that the manufactured batch of this specific drug is not according to the specific standard because the person is feeling well, and after utilizing the drug, the person passed away or the person died. So that's a negative impact for the brand, for the company, for the medicine, and for the loyal customers. So the company has been sued, and there are different examples in the history that companies have paid huge amounts on the legal claims, and it's not good. So if the company could set different CSR goals up according to a specific standard, they could avoid any legal action or lawsuit from any of these stakeholders, like employees or the suppliers or the customers as well. A loss of the discussion points in the current discussion is avoiding unfavorable publicity. The public reputation of any company strongly influences the value of its stock, how consumers regard its product and services, the degree of oversight it receives from government agencies, and the amount of support and cooperation it receives from its business partners. Thus, many organizations are motivated to build a strong ethics program to avoid negative publicity. If an organization is perceived as operating ethically, all of its stakeholders, including the customers, business partners, shareholders, consumer advocates, financial institutions, and all the others, that's regulatory bodies, will usually regard it more favorable. So let's move to the next topic, that's creating an ethical work environment. How an ethical work environment can be created. It's more important that the organization should uh, focus on the right thing to do for the right people at the right time. So for that, they have to evaluate different choices. In most of the cases, in many organizations, most of the employees want to perform their jobs successfully and ethically. But there are times that good employees sometimes make bad ethical decisions or choices. Uh, Employees in highly competitive workplace often feel pressure from aggressive competitors, unrealistic budgets, different quotas which are being allocated that do not comply with these standards, tight deadlines, or different incentives which may be applicable. And because of that, the employees may feel the pressure, or he or she might not go with the correct ethical choice. In such environments, some employees may feel pressure to engage in unethical conduct to meet management expectations, or especially if the organization has no corporate code of ethics and no strong example of senior management practicing the ethical behavior. To avoid all these things, the companies in general needs to establish a standard code of ethics and code of conduct that that has to be followed by everyone in the organization, apart from the content that someone is lying in the upper management position or someone is lying in the lower management position. Plus, formal ethical training should be provided to everyone in the company so that these sort of behaviors should not carry on with the organization. Formal ethics trainings not only makes employees more aware of the company's code of ethics and how to apply it, but also demonstrates that the company intend to operate in an ethical manner. The existence of formal training programs can also reduce a company's liability in the event of legal action against any of the stakeholders or even the company itself. So now let's move to the next topic, that's including ethical considerations in the decision making. There are different steps in the decision making process. Let me check if I have the figure so that I may share it with you. So this is a basic flow chart of decision making process. We need to include different ethical considerations during this process so that we can have a good practicing strategy at the organization regarding the implementation of the ethical rules and regulations within the organization. The very first part is to develop the problem statement. If the organization is facing certain problems, then the manager in position, either the mid level or the top level, needs to get the problem chalked out, and he or she has to write a formal statement regarding what the current issues are. So they have to develop the problem. While writing the problem, the person who is who is working in the company, he or she must gather and analyze the original facts. He or she must not make any of the assumptions. And um, and the person who is writing or developing the problem statement must identify all those stakeholders which are affected by the decision. So if all these things will be considered in writing the problem statement, the initial stage of the concept of the implementation of the ethical behavior in the problem solution will be tackled properly. So then comes the second phase. That's the identification of the alternatives that could be available for the implementation. So in that specific phase, the person who is trying to identify the alternatives, the manager, mid-level manager, or the top-level manager, he or she must include all the other stakeholders who are in this specific, who are facing the specific problem, or they are the part of the community who will be uh, or like all those people, all those affectees, all those stakeholders who will be affected by this decision making, or the implementation of the different alternatives. They must be included in the decision making process, and they must be the part of the brainstorming team who is basically identifying the different alternatives that could be available for solving the specific problem at hand. Then comes the third phase, evaluate and choose the alternatives. And in this phase, all the specific alternatives that have been identified and they have been evaluated in the second phase, they should be considered by putting in view the different rules and regulations, different guidelines, policies, different laws and principles that apply to this specific domain concern. And while evaluating all these things, they should consider what the impact will be. uh, what would be the impact on different stakeholders within the organization, and what about the organization itself, what impact of this decision, or implementation of this specific alternative will be upon the organization. So keeping all these things, there could be different execution patterns, there could be different execution lines, there could be different execution hierarchies. So every specific path or sequence that could be implemented by using a specific solution, or that is one of the alternatives, it should be evaluated by putting each and every criteria that could be applicable for the for the specific specific alternative that's being considered. And after that, there comes a fourth phase. That's the implementation of the decision. After evaluation and choosing the best of the alternatives, the decision is being implemented throughout the organization. If the problem is across the organization among the different departments, if it is regarding a specific or a small subset, or a specific division within the company, then it would be applicable to the smaller subset within the company. Otherwise, if the problem is larger in scale, it would be implemented at the organization level. So what could be the concept at this fourth step? This concept is to develop and execute an implementation plan. Whatever the specific strategy is, whatever the specific uh, goal or the concept of the alternative is, that needs to have an implementation plan. Whatever the policy that's being decided regarding the alternative, that's being considered and it's being adopted, it should have a specific sequence of steps, step number one, two, and so on and so forth, and every step needs to be properly guided and conveyed to different people in the organization. And along with that, to provide the leadership to overcome resistance to the change, there could be different people in the organization who could resist. Like if there is implementation of an ERP, for example, within the company, then there are different people in the organization who may resist, like all those people who are going to retire in the next few years, like 2 years or 3 years. They would say that we are going to retire in the next few years, then why should we learn to operate this system? Why should we learn the computing standards? Why should we implement? Why should we become the part of this implementation strategy? So those type of people, some of those may resist while implementing all those decisions, and it's not good for the organization though. But for those people, they think that it's not good for them to learn at this level, or it's not good for them to implement, to get this thing implemented within the organization. And after this fourth phase, there comes the fifth phase, that after the execution of the plan, there comes the results, are the positive or negative. The concept is to evaluate the results against the selected success criteria, whatever the criteria is, but the results needs to be evaluated. And uh, and while evaluating those results, multiple things needs to be considered, like if there's a vaccine that's being developed in the current pandemic for the for handling of this specific COVID situation, then the results after providing the dosage to the different people, it's being evaluated that the drug doesn't have any side effects. Similar to that, the organization does have a specific implementation decision and implementation strategy and execution plan. And after that evaluation or execution plan is being executed, the management or mid level or the top level needs to evaluate whether the plan was successful, whether the implementation of that specific policy that's being decided in the previous phases would have yielded the positive results or the negative results. So during the evaluation process, they need to consider the unintended or unattended consequences that may arise during the implementation. So if this is basically a learning process, so if the same sort of strategy is being implemented for a similar sort of problem in the near future, then what could be the different outcomes that are negative in sense and they could be avoided by the organization. So by evaluating the results, the company learns, the management learns, and they may avoid all these things in the next phase if the similar sort of thing arises in the next phase or the next time. So if there is success, the company or the management or all those stakeholders who are involved in this specific process, they finish this flow chart, and they basically terminate the proceedings. Whereas if there is no success in the output or the concept because of which this is specific flow chart is being executed out, then they go toward the first phase again, and the process carries on for the next iteration. And this process of iteration carries on until the management or those people who are implementing this thing, or who are working with this thing, gets a positive result, or the problem that at hand that gets solved. So that's how it works. So let's discuss the next topic, and when we are moving towards the end of this session. So this is the last topic, that's the ethics in the information technology. With the growth of the information technology and the deployment of different modern platforms with the information technology, we have got solutions to many of the major problems that many of the companies were facing in the recent and in the recent past. So with the growth of all these information technology and this internet, the ability to capture and store vast amount of personal data, the greater reliance on the information system in all aspects of life increase the risk of information technology that it could be used unethically. In the midst of the many IT breakthroughs in the recent years, the importance of ethics on human values have been underemphasized with a range of consequences. So what could be the different things that are being at risk by the advent of this modern era, or the success of the information technology, and there are different breakthroughs in the science and technology as well. So what are the different things that are at stake? For example, many people are working in organizations have the email addresses and internet access, and even the computer or the desktop machine that they are being utilized in, or even sometimes their mobile phones, they are being monitored while at work, as different organizations use location based monitoring. For example, if an employee enters into the workspace of any company, he or she is being marked as present. Whereas if he or she leaves the desk and moves towards the another department or another place within the organization, then the person is supposed to be uh, out of station, and he or she is not working in the hours, and all of these things are being monitored. So employees struggle to balance their needs to manage important company assets and work time with employees desire for privacy and self-direction. Further, another thing that's the point of consideration for this part of discussion is billions of people have downloaded music and movies at no charge and in apparent violation of copyright laws at tremendous expense to the owners of of those who have the copyrights. So it's unethical. Although in Indo-Pak subcontinent, the people don't have a concept of this software copyright, software copyright, or the music or movies copyright concept. Further, in addition to that, organization contact millions of people worldwide through unsolicited emails, and it's being considered as spam though. And this type of unsolicited email campaign is an extremely low cost marketing approach, and that that costs companies very on the low end, very low. And in case if they are going to contact their customers or their employees or any other sort of stakeholders within and outside the organization, it would have cost much if they don't use the emails. An unsolicited email have basically more of the potential to get the attention of those people who could be the potential buyers or the customers for the company. Further, next thing is hackers. They break into the database of financial and retail institutions to steal customer information, and then it could be used to commit or identify theft. For example, opening new accounts and charging purchases of unsuspecting victims. So the credit card of one person could be utilized by the hacker to purchase certain content, and and obviously it's unethical. Then the next important thing is students around the world have been caught downloading material from the web and plagiarizing the content for their own assignments and the term paper sort of things. So again, it is unethical. Next, websites plant cookies or spyware on visitors' hard drives to track their online purchase and activities. Like not only the purchase activities, in fact, their pattern of visit to different websites and web portals. It's also being monitored, and their different preferences at different times. It's also being monitored, and it's being used. It's being sold out to different companies. And again, it's unethical in nature. So these are some of the concepts which lie under the concept of information technology and the ethics phase. We'll be further exploring this topic in the next session. So that's all for today. Let's conclude this session. Thank you.